Terence up by giving him a motivational talk. At any point in this fight, what were the conversations you were having to have him go into second gear?
I was just tell him, man, just keep pushing him. Just keep pushing him. We're both about to come in, so I want to thank everybody that voted for us for Trainer of the Year. Thank y'all.
Omaha's on.
It's a lot of hardware there.
That's right. Jury shop. Kazakhstan cuisine. He ain't good.
Hey Terence, joined a week crew of like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Roberto Duran, De La Hoya, Shea Mosley, substantive production, Manny Pacquiao. All these guys went from lightweight to super middleweight. Like this, that small elite, every single person in all time good. You just live that fight.
Oh, I feel great. It was one of those missions that we was on, and we wasn't gonna let nobody or nothing take it away from us.
Champ, you've moved up multiple times. How does this time, moving up to 154, compare to the other times you've moved up, 147, 140?
I felt great. It was no different from 147, to be honest. Israil just was a strong opponent, and we knew that coming in the gate.
Yeah, is Madrimov a harder puncher than Spence, you would say?
I don't know. They have their moments, both of them is very strong, but Madrimov was strong. He was strong.
How unusual was the movement, the constant feinting Madrimov did?
It wasn't like disrupting me or anything. It was his patience. He was just patient. He was just waiting. He'll feint, and just keep feinting until he get a little closer. So he was real patient in there. He wasn't rushing in with nothing. He wasn't winging those wild winging shots like we normally seen him in the previous fights. He was very disciplined.
We're accustomed to seeing you switch between southpaw and orthodox fight. You stuck to southpaw for most of this fight, even though you kept getting with that right. Why not switch to orthodox?
Well, the right hand wasn't bothering me. I wasn't really too much worried about the right hand. He landed a couple of times at the end of the round where he was trying to steal it around. But I just was trying to counter him, but at the same time, he had a good game plan. He had a lot of feints, and I was just trying to dictate when he was going to come. A lot of times I was wrong.
You feel the fight was like an offensive counter fight, like where you guys both waited and then he kind of took the stuff you kind of like raced to each other a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes, like I said, he was just waiting on me. Like, he was doing a lot of movement, but at the same time, he was trying to counter me like I was trying to counter him. So it was a mixture of counter to counter.
Did you see a lot of yourself at Madrimov?
No, I won't say all that because I was touching him up with the jab. I think my jab was beating him up all through the fight, but he landed a couple of right hands that was telling for the judges to go or the fans, but it wasn't nothing that I ain't never seen before.
Was there anything that surprised you about him? Was there anything that surprised you about Madrimov's movement or anything?
No, we knew he had good movement. We knew he had good head movement. We knew he was strong. We knew he was durable. If I was to say anything that surprised me, it's his patience. He was real patient in there.
Someone with 10 fights, Terence, did that surprise you at all?
No.
How does he compare to the other top opponents that you faced?
I won't say that he surprised me with 10 fights because you got to understand he got over 300 and some amateur fights. So he know how to fight. He know how to move around in the ring. He knows how to capitalize on people's mistakes. He's been around the game for a minute now. Just because he got 10 fights, that don't mean nothing. Look at Lomachenko and all these other fighters that's getting title shots with 15 fights, 2 fights and stuff like that because they're on the fast track because of their amateur pedigree.
But sorry about that, but what did you think about the Eddie's reaction to the scorecards? I don't know if you heard him on your way out of the ring, but he tried to make it seem like there was some sort of robbery or that the scorecards were wider than they should have been.
Man, you gotta understand that's his fighter. He's going. He's gonna say anything that he can to hype it up. You know, he knows that guy lost, and so do his team, and so do he.
Terence, can you talk to us about the sense of occasion tonight? About it was an incredible event to be at. You really soaked up the atmosphere on your walk in. You had the biggest smile on your face. It was an incredible event to witness for us in the media, for the fans. Can you talk to us about how it made you feel?
Well, it made me feel great to see all the stars, all the people that came out to support Terence Crawford and Madrimov. You know, I understand that it was a lot of talented people on the undercard, but all in all, they came to see Terence Crawford. You know, when you look at the stands and the people, when they start filling up the seats, is when Terence Crawford was getting ready to fight.
What's going on? My earphones are acting up a little bit, so let me see if I can fix this, because I can't hear nothing. How you guys been? Hold on, let me catch up here. A lot to talk about today. I'm actually motivated to be here. You know, felt good to be like, you know what, I'm doing a stream tonight. So where's my sound? My sound is all jacked up. Give me a minute. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, there it is. All right, now we're back. All right. Been an interesting weekend. The Saudis put on a very good card, although the card was, 10 hours, give or take? What time did that pay-per-view go off? The prelims for Crawford versus Madrimov started at 4 p.m. Eastern. I didn't get finished until about 3 a.m. or so. Wasn't it about right? They got to fix something with the pacing of these cards. Also, maybe it's just me when I was younger. You know, I used to listen to a lot of Eminem, you know, a lot of 50 Cent, you know, Cameron, you know, G Unit, all, you know, a lot of late 90s, early, basically 2000s rap. But in this day and age, do you want to see an Eminem concert at your boxing event? I mean, maybe if the pay-per-view wasn't so long. I mean, I understand that they're giving us, you know, high-quality fights that can be their own main events. For example, Cruz versus Rayo, Valenzuela. That could have been its own pay-per-view, especially if it was PBC putting that on. They would have pay-per-viewed the shit out of that. And Ruiz, Gerald Miller, that would have been pay-per-view on PBC side. Big Baby Anderson versus Martin Bakole, that would have been a top rank on ESPN main event. They could have possibly squeezed in Andy Cruz versus Antonio Moran as a little DAZN main event. So, you know, high quality fights. And of course, David Morrell versus Hot Rod Kalajdzic would have been a main event, because remember, David Morrell in his last fight, the last fight for Showtime Championship Boxing, or Showtime Boxing as a whole, was against that Bakole guy. So they're giving us good cards. I'm not upset at that. It's just that, what can we do about this pacing? The pacing is brutal. The pacing for these cards is brutal. And I'm sitting there, now mind you, I'm rusty. So this is the first full card I covered in a long time. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm looking. And I'm like, the ring walk was supposed to be 11:30 p.m. But listen, I don't never believe shit when it comes to ring walks. The UK, you can kind of, like, UK fights, you can kind of guess. But when it comes to American ring walks, unless it's a PBC pay-per-view these days, because they're pretty good with getting their pay-per-views over with. But, you know, ring walk wasn't until like 1 something in the morning, right? It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. So, welcome back. You know how it rolls around here. It takes a little bit of time, about a month or so of consistency, for me to get the numbers really back to where they were. Actually, I had a really good couple of weeks. But I've had some life-changing events, you know, as they're called. And, you know, I'm not going to go into details, but I'm doing really well. And I actually have a lot of time to be able to dedicate to boxing like I used to in the past. been doing a lot of things behind the scenes, and I actually went to my first fight that I've been to in a long time. I was at the Boots Ennis fight. Just to get my feet wet, you know, network, talk to some people, you know, like start getting back out in the mix, you know, get my passport later on this month. You know, I want to get to one of those Saudi cars, you know, getting out there in the mix. So where do we begin? Now, of course, we have a lot to talk about with this Crawford Madrimov card. If you don't know, the Canelo card was announced. Here, I'll pull it up for you. Canelo Berlanga, and I'm going to be honest. See, I'm a seasoned yet jaded boxing fan. So you can't fool me with smoke and mirrors like this. This is my Facebook page. You can't fool me. So here's the card. Canelo versus Edgar Berlanga. Erislandy Lara versus Danny Garcia. That has my interest. They've been trying to make this fight for like 2 years, by the way. That has my interest. Now, Caleb Plant versus Trevor McCumby. No. Just no. In fact, that was supposed to headline PBC's regular Amazon card this month. They was going to put on their first non-pay-per-view card, and it was going to be headlined by Caleb Plant versus Trevor McCumby. Romero is turning against Manuel Jaimes, and Stephen Fulton is going to be taking on Carlos Castro. Now, what do you see here? A sides versus J sides. You got Caleb Plant versus Trevor McCumby. That's like a G side, I guess. Romero versus Manuel. Come on, bro. And then Stephen Fulton. So really, you're watching these fights to see Stephen Fulton win, Romero win, Caleb Plant win, and the only real competitive fight that we have so far that we can go into the fight and be like, all right, it's a competitive fight, is Lara versus Danny Garcia. Those other fights, they don't really move the needle, especially when you have the Saudis putting on the cards that they're putting on. And the main event, listen, no disrespect to Edgar Berlanga, the cannibal. I just don't think he should be there. My personal opinion. Canelo, shout out to Canelo. Really, you can try to say, you know, shout out to his team, Keith Connolly and all those guys for getting him to fight, but really Canelo chose him. Canelo chose him. I don't know why, excuse my language, I don't know why Canelo's dick been so hard for Edgar Berlanga. He's been having a hard on for him for about a good 2 years now. Like, what is it? What is it about Edgar Berlanga that gets Canelo like, oh yeah, I want some of that? You know? Can you let me know? That David Benavidez fight is dead. That ain't happening. Him and David Morrell, they've already said, you know what, we're at 175 now. David Benavidez and Morrell got to fight. They got to do something. So this is what I see. Canelo may be interested in Crawford more than ever now, especially after Crawford's performance against Israil Madrimov, but we're going to talk about it. It wasn't supposed to be an easy fight for Bud Crawford. I was saying it. I said in Madrimov, like he's a different style, different fighter. He ain't no joke. 300 plus amateur fights, and what I've learned is, let me tell you something. Unless you're a hardcore degenerate like me and some of you, these people who are clowning Bud for not knocking out Madrimov, they're not watching Israil Madrimov fights. They're not watching those mid-card fights. They're not watching Madrimov in the afternoon. You think those people that are talking all this shit, oh, Bud couldn't even get him out of there. He was going life and death with a dude with only 11 fights. Are you listening to those people? Ask yourself, when you think you're going to get into a debate with somebody about boxing and about Madrimov, look at them and say, is this motherfucker watching Madrimov fights? I don't think he is. I'm not going to engage. I am not going to engage. That Eastern European head movement and feinting ain't no joke. Yeah, it'll get you in trouble. Look at Madrimov, look at Lomachenko, you know, as they're downloading the data. But in that meantime, it's been well known they're exhausting you. They're trying to mentally exhaust you to get you to slip up. Crawford had to learn. He was getting knocked around with that right hand, but that was all Madrimov was really doing. But anyway, moving on. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get back to that. Canelo, for whatever reason, here, let me pull this up. By the way, take your time out, like the video, subscribe, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you that my streams are going to be moving over to my secondary channel. And that secondary channel was TstreeT Uncut. Here, I'm going to pull it up for you. This is me.
It's 32 seconds in round.
My streams, what is this? I hate when this pops up. Get out of here. My streams are going to be on this channel, TstreeT Uncut. Here, you know what? I'll put the link in the chat for you guys. My streams are going to be here. And then I'm going to take and clip them around and, you know, upload them to the main channel. But yeah, this is anything goes channel pretty much for the most part. Let me see how I haven't streamed on here in a while. Well, anyway, yeah, this is where my streams are going to be. So just to get that out of the way.
It's 32 seconds in.
So just to get that out of the way. So anyway, back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we're going to talk about Canelo versus Edgar Berlanga. By the way, let's go look at the face-off. Where's this face-off at? I fell asleep on the press conference. I was taking a nap. It wasn't nothing spectacular. Nothing really of note took place. You know, except Berlanga came out to face off Canelo with his shirt off. By the way, look at the size difference. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Canelo, in my personal opinion, is a 160-pounder masquerading at 168. That's my personal opinion. Because at 168, you know, he don't have to, you know, cut too much weight, you know, and you know, he's been able to so far be successful in picking and choosing his competition. Remember when he first tested the waters against Rocky Fielding, he was like, okay, all right, I can do this. Which is why a Crawford fight at 168 is not too far gone for me. I don't consider Canelo a real 168-pounder. Kind of like, remember Miguel Cotto, great fighter. But remember his bullshit run at 160? We knew he was just masquerading up there. You know, tried to pick the bones, which he did of Sergio Martinez. Didn't want no parts of Golovkin. At one point in time, I forgot which interview, but he even said Golovkin was too big. By the way, if my earphones headphones may die. So if I go silent, then that's what it is. So anyway, it's just that Berlanga is like, what, you know, why? Like, I would love to ask Canelo, why? I mean, yeah, you know, he's got power. Berlanga's got power. But the skill set, these are the guys that Canelo just picks apart. Kind of green type of fighters, like he did with Jaime Munguia. It's like, well, listen, he's fighting the young fighters, but it's like Berlanga ain't do nothing. And Berlanga's career's been up and down for the last few years now, especially since Top Rank let him go. Remember, he bet that dude. He's a cannibal. And everybody knows how I feel about cannibals. I can't stand them. Y'all don't remember? Let's go down memory lane. I'm going to show you real quick. Let's go down memory lane. Let's see. I call him Cannibal Berlanga. That sounds sinister, doesn't it? All you got to do is just type Berlanga bite. I can't stand no cannibals. I can't stand them. Look,
Timmy, there was a unique moment in that seventh round.
Look at him. Top Rank ain't have none of that mess. They got him right up out of there. He got fired.
Timmy, there was a unique moment in that seventh round. Does he attempt to bite him here?
Oh my God, what's going on? Fucking cannibals make me sick. Look, and then he went in for seconds.
On the shoulder?
Ah, fucking vampire.
Yes!
Bro, I'm not supporting this mess. And then look how he looking at him. You know what Frank Reynolds say? You know, once you get a taste of some human flesh, you don't go back.
Did you see the reaction right there from Angulo? He tried to bite him. Are you kidding me right now?
Look, he got him in a grip.
Oh.
Bro,
Oh my goodness.
God, I can't watch no more. I can't. Canelo, I can't watch. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't watch no more of that. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Let's go look at the resume. Let's take a gander at the resume of Edgar the Cannibal Berlanga. (22-0) with 17 KOs. Taking on Saul Canelo Alvarez. Santos Barragan. That's Canelo's real name if you ain't know. I did a video one time called The Ballad. See? The Ballad of Santos Barragan. Anyway, I don't know what I was talking about in that video, but I just thought it was a good title. So anyway, back to Berlanga. Edgar the Cannibal Berlanga, 22-0 with 17 KOs, fighting for the WBA, WBC, WBA. Oh, wait, we got to do a blue blood. Edgar Ruiz Berlanga, the chosen one, the cannibal, 27-year-old Puerto Rican, Orthodox, 6'1", 73-inch reach from New York City, New York, in the Brooklyn area. His Puerto Rican. Fighting for the WBA, WBC, and WBO titles September the 14th from the T-Mobile Arena, going head-to-head with UFC 304 at the Spear. The famous Mexico versus Puerto Rican rivalry. How did that start, by the way? Why are they forcing us Mexicans and Puerto Ricans to always try to fight each other? But anyway, look at his resume, though. I mean, listen. Usually when you get a big fight like a Canelo or even Mayweather, you were coming off of like some type of high profile win where it was like, okay, you got some buzz behind you. You know, when McDonough dispatched of Adrian Broner, when Robert Guerrero dispatched of Andre Berto. You know, you were coming off of like a, you know, like something kind of high profile. But in this case, what has Edgar Berlanga done? And I don't mean to grind him up like this, but listen, it's the truth. What has he done? Padraig McCrory, I covered this fight, didn't I? I did. Like, what has he done? Nothing. Jason Quigley, what has Berlanga done? Nothing. And then this is the dude he bit just 2 years ago. So remember when Mayweather fought Andre Berto in his last, well, before he fought Conor McGregor? It was like, all right, you know what? This is like your last fight, Floyd, your last, you know, let's give you a little bit of easy one a little bit. It's like, is this what Canelo's doing? Is he cashing out? And how do they expect for this pay-per-view to sell? Isn't Canelo guaranteed something like 32 to 35 million from PBC? This pay-per-view is going to flop. Let's keep it real. Is that too taboo to talk about? Promoters and media people don't like when you talk about, the media execs don't like when you tell the truth. This fight is going to be streamed to smithereens, Jack. It's going to be streamed to smithereens. You know, and yeah, you got, you know, the undercard, as we talked about earlier, smoke and mirrors. The only fight that really has some real interest is Erislandy Lara versus Danny Garcia. Bakole Plant versus Trevor McCumby? Who? 28-0 with 21 KOs. Okay. Okay. It's rare that we get two white men fighting. How about that? I guess that's some set of listen, let's talk about it. You got two white dudes, like just as white as can be. So that's what's up. But really, what has McCumby done? Last opponent, 17-3, 44-10, 41-13, 20-15, and it probably gets uglier. Let's click on. Let's see how Felipe Romero got to 20-15. Sometimes I like to do this. I like to go down a rabbit hole to see how ugly it gets. Oh my Lord, he's now 21-22-1. But look, how did he get where he was? Okay, so he beat, oh shit, he beat Krzysztof Glowacki? Oh, he got knocked out by him. He beat a Cristobal. Anyway, the point is, when I see resumes like this, when it's like, damn, on paper, he's got 28-0 with 21 KOs, I start going down the rabbit hole. I said, all right, your last fight, you beat Christopher Pearson. All right, cool. Christopher Pearson, 17-4-1. All right, cool. Before that, before that fight, Christopher Pearson beat Derek Webster. All right, let's check that out. Who's Derek Webster? 29-5-1, 14. All right, cool. Who was his last fight? Let's see. Kristen Thomas, 11-1. All right, cool. You see what I'm saying? If you start going down the rabbit hole, you start seeing that these boxers' resumes be a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors, man. So, no disrespect to Mr. Trevor McCumby. It's just that I don't want to see no Caleb Plant versus Trevor McCumby. What does that do for me? For my $80 that's going to this pay-per-view, what does that do for me? It's like, oh, you know, it's just a get back, stay busy fight. Bruh, these are superstars. These are supposed to be superstar boxers. We shouldn't be in this age no more when we're seeing shit like this. Stephen Fulton's returning. Okay, cool. He had to return. But Carlos Castro, what is this doing? What is this doing for us? What is this doing for us? Nothing. It's not doing anything for us. Roller Romero, well, you know, they all, I'm sure. Let's see who this Manuel Jaimes is. Let me see. This dude gonna fuck around and beat Rolly. I can say that. And he already beat a Romero in his last fight. This dude will mess around and beat Rolly. So, okay, the Rolly fight may be interesting because Rolly might lose. But as far as Stephen Fulton and Caleb Plant, So here's this $80 pay-per-view. It might be $85. Don't be surprised. You got Canelo versus Berlanga, Lara versus Danny Garcia, Caleb Plant versus Trevor McCumby, Stephen Fulton versus Carlos Castro. And by the way, that Fulton versus Castro fight is supposed to be on the prelims leading into the pay-per-view free on Prime. And then Roller Romero versus Manuel Jaimes. This is what they're selling us, people. And I don't mean to be a whore and keep whining and complaining, but it's like when you got the Saudis putting on the cards that they're putting on, it's like, okay, like, you know, you got to do something for us. I get everyone has their different plans, but, you know, like, come on, I mean, have their different business strategies and all that. But I mean, come on, bro, come on. Here, let me see here. Let's go watch some face-offs. It wasn't really anything of note that took place at this press conference, by the way. It's just that I want to be able to look Canelo in his face. It'll never happen, and ask him, why, Canelo, why? Let's see what he has to say about Edgar Berlanga. Let's hear both of them. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Let's go hear what these guys have to say, because I was in the bed watching this.
It's a huge thing. I want to thank all the team at PBC. And once again, I am thankful that all of you are here and looking forward to September 14.
And we look forward to seeing this next man in the ring. He's unbeaten, 22-0. 17 of his victories have come by knockout. Fighting out of Brooklyn, New York. Training now in Tampa, Florida, representing that Boricua in Puerto Rico, the undefeated WBA #1 ranked contender, Edgar Berlanga.
I almost identified as a Puerto Rican once.
First and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for this opportunity. I want to thank PBC. I want to thank Luis Cubas, Al Heyman, Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, my manager, Keith Conley, my dad, Edgar Berlanga Sr., and I also want to thank Team Canelo for giving us this opportunity. Listen, man, you know, there's a lot of doubt out there on me and a lot of hate, but I've been facing adversities, man. I've been facing hate all my life, you know. There's my opportunity to become a great champion, but also be legendary in the sport of boxing. I want to thank everybody that came out tonight. You know, and September 14th is going to be something to remember. I keep telling you, man, superstar status, you know. It's going to be something amazing, man. Puerto Rico versus Mexico. That's the biggest rivalry in boxing, you know. And we're looking forward to making history September 14th. Fireworks, baby. Thank you, guys. I love y'all.
Y'all giving him a chance? We're the, what do you want to call them? The Berlangians. Berlangians. No, that sounds dumb. Where's the Berlanga army? That sounds dumb too. Need something that's going to roll off the tongue.
Superstar, 4-division world champion. He's the reigning WBA, WBC, and WBO super middleweight champion of the world. He is Canelo Alvarez.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Thank you everybody for coming. And thank you all, Jaime. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Eddie. Tom. Thank you. Eddie Hens, my boy. Thank you. Thank you. All the team. I'm very happy to be here in this position, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. I'm not overlooking him. I know he's a strong fighter, young fighter. And I'm going to put all my best in the training, all my best in the fight to put it a great.
I like that. The Langa Knights. I'm stealing it.
A great fight. And I'm just happy. I love boxing. I love what I do, and I'm happy to be here and other one. And remember, this fight is going to be a great fight, and it's going to be a great day for Mexico. Thank you so much.
I like that. I'm going to use that. The Langa Knights. I think I'm going to pick Berlanga just to be a crazy ass. I used to get so emotionally involved. That's what all my picks used to be wrong. I used to be like, yo, I start talking about like Chavez Jr. He's going to, make up for all the sins of his father by beating Canelo. And, the stars are going to align because the son is finally going to satisfy his father. What you got to say, Canelo? Oh, shit. Berlanga's screwed. Hold up. I know that what I think it is. He got that flare up going on. Let me tell you, whenever you see Canelo get that herpes shit, your ass is grass. Let's pay attention to this as we get closer to the fight. We're about 5 weeks away, give or take. Let's see how pronounced this gets over the coming weeks. If it get real red and scabby, and he gets like dry as lips because he can't lick it, Berlanga will get knocked out in like 2 rounds, like 3 rounds. Let's see.
Versus Puerto Rico, always.
Yeah, that should always flare up during a really good, tough camp.
Great fight, and I think it's a good fight for the people.
Edgar, I've watched some of your social media, and I heard you say a little bit of that today. Why do you think you're being overlooked?
Like I said before, man, I always been overlooked. You know, even if I had a world title, I'll still be overlooked. You know, I've been overlooked all my life, and I said this earlier on a Breakfast Club. I said that, you know, when I first turned pro, nobody wanted to sign me. No promotion wanted to sign me. And I had to go there, dig my feet deep in the ground, and work and knock people out. And I started knocking people out in the first round, and that's when everybody started wanting to sign me. So, you know, I feel like I'm in the same position right now, you know, getting this fight with Canelo. A lot of people was, you know, talking shit before that I'm fighting cab drivers. Now that I'm fighting a legend, they saying I'm gonna get knocked the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? So with the people, like Fat Joe said, you never win. So I just put my head down, keep working, stay humble, and you know, and then just turn up September 14th, man. This is something legendary for the sport of boxing, you know. And I don't want to hear, listen, man, I don't want to hear Benavidez, fuck Benavidez. You know, shout out to Crawford, you know what I'm saying? But they keep mentioning Crawford. He fought a 54-pounder. You know, it was a tough fight. You know, we got business to handle September 14th. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just keep mentioning Benavidez and all these guys, man. Like, y'all know it's not going to happen. You feel me? And that's just that, man. Like, September 14th, Berlanga, Canelo, Puerto Rico versus Mexico.
Canelo, he's gotten a chip on his shoulder. Feels like you're overlooking him. Tell him, what is Edgar going to get on September 14th? What should he expect?
No, you know, I never overlook my opponents. I know Edgar Berlanga is young, is strong, but at the end of the day, he have a big challenge in front. It's gonna be a great fight. He's gonna experience something different, and the people is gonna enjoy this fight.
Edgar,
y'all think Canelo got a clause on him? I'm just asking. These days, Canelo will put a clause on you and you're not supposed to talk about it. So fighters won't mention it unless they're asked, but they can't go into details. He did that to Kovalev, remember? So let me fast forward because we can't watch the whole thing, but look at this face-off. Look at this face-off here. Because Berlanga's got a significant size advantage. You think Canelo may be using Berlanga as like a how can I say a meter to see how he can do against a fighter of that size? Remember, he did it with Rocky Fielding. He tested the waters with Rocky and then moved up to the weight. He could be using Berlanga as a stepping stone to see how he can do it against a bigger fighter. That could be a possibility because Berlanga ain't no small dude. I mean, just look right there at that image. Yeah, Gage. I'm wondering too. That could be a possibility. Canelo did it before. And remember, he had a whole weight class before he moved up. Remember Canelo weight, 155? He did that shit for like 6 fights. Look, that's a, you know, just the height alone. Me personally, I don't think that Canelo's going to fight Benavidez. I think that now he'll fight Crawford. But I guess it's a good time to talk about Crawford and Madrimov. But yeah, if I was to give a prediction, I feel that this fight is going to do 250,000 pay-per-view buys. I just don't think this fight's going to do well. I just don't think this fight's going to do well. It's also compete with UFC at the Spear. 2 pay-per-views, same city, same night. You know, makes no sense to me. I think tickets will sell, you know, but at the end of the day, like Canelo, let's be very honest. Canelo's numbers have been dipping. You can say it's because of streaming. You can say it's because it's lack of like a real opponent that people want to see. But his numbers have been dipping. Let's go look at the resume real quick. You know, Munguia didn't do expectations. Charlo didn't do expectations. John Ryder, the Golovkin third fight definitely didn't. I don't know, man. I can see 300,000. I can see 300,000. Well, see, okay, well, you know what? Let me factor in the Puerto Ricans. All right. I forgot about that factor. Okay, Mexico versus Puerto Rican. Okay. We got to factor that in. That's going to add like 100,000 pay-per-view, but I can see 400. I can see 400. I don't see 500,000. I don't see 500,000 pay-per-view buys. I don't see it. But if you were to ask me, if Crawford or Benavidez are not involved, I can see Canelo fighting Chris Eubank Jr. Remember Chris Eubank Jr., they were negotiating. And then talks fell through. And then they settled for Berlanga. I kind of like the Chris Eubank Jr. fight. I'll take that over Berlanga. That's for damn sure. But the Crawford fight, let's talk about my man Terence Crawford. I'm going to go ahead and say this, as I said earlier in the video. For the people who are judging Terence Crawford, I'm talking about to the hardcore fans. Let me say it this way. The fight with Madrimov wasn't supposed to be easy. It wasn't. Madrimov has over 300 amateur fights. Excellent head movement. A lot of those Eastern European fighters, they try to tire you out mentally. I mean, even just recently in our day and age, Usyk does it. Loma does it. All that feinting, they try to tire you out mentally. And you got to be really patient. Just so happened Crawford was. When he wasn't patient, what was happening? He was getting tagged up with that right hand. Arguably the most he's ever been hit and the hardest he's ever been hit in the fight. So, as I said earlier, the people who are discrediting Crawford's win over Madrimov and just flat out, if they're discrediting the win, they're discrediting Madrimov. They're not watching Israil Madrimov fights. Those people, do you believe that they're like, oh shit, Madrimov's fighting this afternoon because many of his fights are midday cards? You think they're sitting in the house on Saturdays watching Madrimov fights? They're just looking at the resume because what's the first thing you keep seeing? I mean, you keep hearing, oh, he went the distance with a guy who only has 10 wins. Casuals. I had a 7-5, by the way. Bud Crawford needed that last round. It was a very close fight, but was it supposed to be easy? A former 135-pound champion. First fight at 154, fighting a champion. An Eastern European excellent amateur background champion. First fight at 154. Taking the punches. So I didn't expect for it to be easy. I didn't at all. And it's his first fight up there. He didn't just ease himself into the division. He went in there against one of the best of the division, a champion of the division. By the way, at one point in time, Madrimov was Jamel Charlo's mandatory. And what did Crawford show? He fought a fighter with a style that he hasn't seen since Postal. A guy where he actually had to be a technician. He couldn't just go out there and use brute force and just run through an opponent. He had to be a technician. He had to box. Now, I can understand how people are saying, like, yo, you need to stay away from Canelo. But as I said earlier in the video, I think Canelo's a 160-pounder masquerading at 168. I don't see it being... of course, Canelo would be likely the stronger fighter, the bigger fighter. But how much stronger, really? So I don't look at the weight being an issue at all. The weight class meaning, because I'm looking at Canelo was a 160 pounder. It's not like Canelo's weighing at 168 and coming in at 190. It's just that he doesn't have to rehydrate as much. So I'm still all for the fight, and maybe we have a better chance of seeing the fight now that Canelo thinks that Madrimov won or there was a draw. In fact, let me pull up that clip, because I knew Canelo was going to have something to say. Where's that clip? What did I do with it? Anyway, take your time out. Like the video, subscribe. Virgil Ortiz and Serhii Bohachuk is fighting this weekend. Significant fight for the WBC interim title at 154. Sebastian Fundora was supposed to be fighting Errol Spence, but Errol Spence is just pretty much cooked. So here's how it's supposed to play out. Crawford now has the WBA and the WBO interim. If Fundora doesn't fight Crawford next, then Fundora gets stripped, Crawford gets elevated. However, Fundora will likely fight, in my opinion, Jermell Charlo or Bakram Murtazaliev to keep those belts in-house. Do not be surprised if Bakram Murtazaliev fights Erickson Lubin, however. Erickson Lubin's been targeting Bakram Murtazaliev, who was the weakest link at 154, but that IBF belt he has is politically important. Erickson Lubin turned down a fight with Tim Tszyu. Me personally, I think that PBC did Tim Tszyu dirty. And contrary to what a lot of people are saying, Tim Tszyu had a broadcast agreement with PBC. He's not an Al Heyman fighter. And remember how they tried to screw him out of his rematch against Fundora, which looked like they was able to do. Remember that whole shenanigan debacle where they were like, nope, no rematch, and they just tried to run off and make the Errol Spence fight for Fundora? But it looks like Tim Tszyu is going another route. So let me break it down. All right, follow me. Let me see if I can keep it concise. Okay. Fundora is going to return sometime this year, looking like November. He's going to be the PBC November slot. It's looking like. Could be October, but I think it's going to be November. I see him possibly fighting Jermell Charlo or Bakram Murtazaliev to unify the belts. Likely Jermell Charlo, because Fundora versus Murtazaliev is not going to sell on pay-per-view. So we could see Erickson Lubin take on Murtazaliev on the pay-per-view as well. So November, you can have Fundora versus Charlo, Murtazaliev versus Lubin. If that does happen, Fundora will be stripped of the WBO belt. Unless he files an exemption, but I don't think they will, because the WBO has already pretty much made it clear months ago. So Crawford would have two belts, the WBA and the WBO. Fundora, Charlo, Lubin, or Murtazaliev will have the WBC or the IBF and both. So the way things are looking is the same shit is happening again, where they're going to try to keep PBC fighters away from Bud Crawford, and the belts are more political than anything. Now, Fundora has made it very clear that the Spence fight would be a great fight for him at the time when it was talks of him fighting Spence, that he wanted to fight Bud Crawford. But his team is definitely steering him away from Bud Crawford. So in the meantime, Bud Crawford, likely, of course, aware of the political bullshit that's going on, was like, hey, well, you know what? I'll fight Canelo. Spence Fundora is not officially up, but the way things are looking, for one, Spence is not in camp. If it was going to happen, Spence has got to get into camp soon. And the rumors are he's cooked. The rumors are he's not coming back. Like, that's it. This is it for him. So that's the 54-pound division, the way I can break it down for you. In fact, let me get a visual aid here. Oh, and then also, you have Virgil Ortiz taking on Serhii Bohachuk. We could see Terence Crawford take on Virgil Ortiz for the WBO and the IBF, the WBO and the WBA, and possibly the WBC interim, but that would take a special exemption because they don't do that. But something's cooking, and something else people are not talking about is how the Saudis are buying up divisions. Remember, they already own the heavyweights. They own all the heavyweights they have. They're after the 154-pound division through Terence Crawford. They already have agreements with the WBC and the WBA. Not sure about the IBF or the WBO yet. I guess you could say DAZN is their network. They're already in cahoots with Golden Boy. There's press releases that they've entered a partnership with Golden Boy. There's press releases that they've entered a partnership with Top Rank. They already have Matchroom and Frank Warren, and they have Louis de Cubas Sr. and Jr., basically the figureheads when it comes to boxers under PBC, but they don't fully have PBC yet. They're buying up boxing. I'm not confident to talk about, by the way, when it comes to Virgil Ortiz, Serhii Bohachuk for the WBC interim, that's this weekend. I'm not confident in Virgil Ortiz at 154 just yet. Yeah, great fighter. You know, he's showing to be special. But also, this is a new division for him as well. And Bohachuk's only loss was basically a flash knockout. Or when he was hurt. So the 154-pound division is definitely interesting here. Let's go check it out real quick. It's like a little bit of a Game of Thrones going on. How about that? Here are the main figureheads in the division. Of course, you got Fundora, Bohachuk, Madrimov, Murtazaliev, Zoo, Virgil Ortiz, Erickson Lubin, Terence Crawford. And then on the outskirts, kind of those guys I just mentioned, you got guys like Jesus Ramos, who a lot of people felt beat Lubin. Vito Manicki Jr., who's now with Top Rank, but he's going to be building up. The next guy you should be worrying about in the division, really, is Xander Zayas. And then Josh Kelly's out there too. But Xander Zayas is the next guy that's creeping up, like on the title shot. And as far as Crawford versus Ennis is concerned, I'm one of those boxing fans to where I don't start calling for fights once a fighter move up a division. It's like, that's it. Crawford's at 154 now. So, you know, I'm not going to say he's got to go down and fight Boots, but also Boots had his chance. Let's not forget when his father said that, you know, they wanted Crawford to fight on BOK Prime. So far, the fights did happen. And by the way, BOK Prime are still putting on shows, although not pay-per-views. But he had his chance at 147. And they were loyal to Showtime. And look, what happened with that? You have to go do your own research on that, though, for those who don't know. But he had his chance. And right now, you know, I want to see the fight. Don't get me wrong. But it's the weight class. Bud has already moved up. I'm not going to talk about, Boots is not a pay-per-view star and he need to earn his shot and all that old bullshit. Nah, it's the weight class. Even though I wanted the Lomachenko versus Haney rematch, I was like, Haney moved up. So it's like, you're going to say, drain yourself to go back down and fight him. So then if you lose, you can make the excuse, I had to drain myself to go back down. Nah, he moved up. He moved up. So I don't see the Boots fight happening. Also, he's got his own plan. He's trying to get Mario Barrios or Emmanuel Amantestanionis. Teofimo Lopez seems to be done with 140, and he's targeting Brian Norman, the new WBO champion, the new blood. And the fight with Mario Barrios and Stanionis are realistic fights to make now that the Saudis have access to PBC fighters. Or we could possibly see Boots versus Brian Norman if Teofimo don't get him, because Top Rank and the Saudis are in cahoots too. And let's be very honest, Boots is a matchroom fighter, but it's looking like he's funded by the Saudis. That's what it's looking like. Mario Barrios was heavily linked to Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao fought last weekend, looked like shit. He need to hang it up. He fought in Rizin, in Japan. Looked real bad, real old. Hang it up, Manny. So I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, we're going to be here this weekend talking some boxing. For those who don't know, I'm going to tell you once again, head over to my secondary channel. My streams are going to be heading over to this channel this week. Here, I'll take and share it with you, the link. Go over there and subscribe. So all my boxing streams will be heading over to my TstreeT Uncut channel. And then clips from those streams are going to be uploaded to this channel. So you'll be able to get the nitty gritty, edited content of the streams on this main channel that we're on right now that I'm streaming. But the long format uncut is going to be on this channel, hence TstreeT Uncut. So in the meantime, I'm going to be pumping out some videos more frequently this month. Since the beginning of the month, I got a pretty free month. And I want to get some content out. I've been living life, doing really good. You know, and I'm actually happy to be back. I feel like I'm getting my hungerness back for covering boxing, along with other topics and subjects. But with that being said, take time out, like the video. Nah, I don't give people who don't have anything as their profile photo. You just got an M. So nobody like that get a wrench around here. You got to have some type of something on there. I don't care what you put on there. But I am going to be back tomorrow, and we're going to talk some more boxing, possibly some other things. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And drop a like before you go.